Well, who do we have here? Well, it's me. I am back as promised. This is the first episode of the 3D Cook-Up Show, and I thought what better way to start this whole thing off than by creating our very own intro animation for this show. This show should inspire you to sit down and create some cool portfolio pieces, stuff that you actually want to create, and that will help you land some good client work afterwards. So let's get started. So, get your pots and pans ready and let's cook up some heat. First step, find some inspiration. I have a rough image in mind of what I want the intro animation to look like, but if you're working in the creative field, you probably know as well as me that your ideas don't really translate to straight artwork. You need some inspiration material that keeps you on your path to the end product that you're imagining. It is currently 1:40 a.m., which means it's time to cook. Money doesn't sleep, so let's get to work. Here I am. I'm gonna look through some websites like Pinterest and Behance and just see if I can find some stuff that matches the idea that I have in my head. So to give the whole theme a bit more definition, let me go look for some inspiration material and then I'll show you what I found.
There are times I get carried away. Please.
Alright guys, I've got all the reference material I need. As a quick tip, I can recommend the program PureRef. It's free to download and it's an amazing program to have references open on a different monitor. You can just copy images, screenshot images, and then Control-V, paste them into the program, and it's a very handy tool when gathering references. I need a sponsor. If you take a quick look at the material that I picked out, you will see I'm going for a very simplistic but still colorful and modern style. What's left to do is I still have to pick out the main colors that I want to use, as well as a rough storyline. I don't want the animation to be longer than 8 seconds, as that's already pretty long for an intro. You gotta keep that retention rate. It's not a joke. I'm also going to use After Effects to do a very quick draft animation just to get the timing right, so I know how long each scene needs to be, as well as when certain things are going to happen in the animation. That will actually greatly decrease the time of me having to change the timing in Blender. To pick the colors and sketch the rough scenes, I'm going to use Illustrator. So let's jump into that.
It's no fun when your first son gets up to no good, starts freaking out the neighborhood.
Alright guys, so as you can see, I am finished with the storyboard. As you can tell, I have a major in sketching, also a master in waffling. Well, my idea is the ingredients that are going to be cut up into their most basic shape. So the tomato is round. As soon as the knife slices that, it's just going to disintegrate in a lot of round red balls. So we got the tomato rolling in. We got the Ronaldo chop. Cucumber flies, cucumber lands, gets chopped up. For the cucumber, I'll probably use cylinders. I've got some orange triangles to represent some carrots, and I've got some yellow squares. They're gonna fly. We're gonna have a mid-air shot. They're gonna fly into the pot, shot to a little shelf thingy with 2 or 3 herbs and spices containers or whatever. They're gonna be put into the pot, big old spoon, stir the whole thing. It's all mad. And then we're gonna have the last shot, which is gonna be a shot of like a tabletop, and there's gonna be the plate sliding onto the table, cutlery falling down. So yeah. Guys, I want you to write in the comments right now what's the biggest thing you've ever cooked up in your life. Alright, so as we got the storyboard done, I'm gonna pull all of these screenshots out, put them in After Effects, and then check how I do the timing for these shots. So let's do that. I was actually just about to start timing all of the stuff in After Effects when I realized I need a song. So I'm gonna go to Artlist real quick and check out if I can find a cool song that fits the theme. I've got 3 songs. So what was my criteria for picking the songs? Well, first off, I need a good drop, because the first important motion in the video is actually gonna be the tomato that's gonna be cut in half. So I need something that has a cool drop, because I'm gonna time it to this event. Second important thing, it just needs to sound nice. I looked in the hip hop and indie section, because these are most of the times the genres that I find the best music in. Might just be my elite taste. And the third criteria, they have to have a nice ending, because I'm gonna edit the song, so when the plate is gonna be put on the table in the end of the animation, I want the end of the song to be nice and round the whole thing off. It's always tough. I can only recommend don't pick too many songs and don't look for too long, because you're gonna find a bunch of songs that you're gonna like, and if you have 10 songs to pick from, you're gonna sit here tomorrow. I'm gonna drag it into After Effects and gonna start timing my shots. So let's do that. Alright boys, I am actually done with timing the animation. It sadly got a bit longer than expected. As I told you before, I tried to keep it at around 8 seconds. Well, that didn't really go to plan. So I cut up the song, I cut out the parts that I wanted. The runtime of the animation at the moment is around 11 seconds. I think that's not too bad. Some of the scenes are pretty short, so I hope I can get the animations that are planned done in this time frame. But I mean, that's what I'm here for, so let's see what we can do. Alright, so this is how the animated storyboard looks right now. So now we're ready to finally jump into Blender. Regarding materials and colors, I'm gonna figure all of this out when I finally start modeling stuff. It's 6 AM right now, so I'm gonna hit the sheets. Money actually did get tight right now, so I'll see you tomorrow. Welcome back, my friends. So we finally got to the interesting part. We are going to jump into Blender now and start creating our animation scene by scene. So enough talking, let's get to work.
Sincerely, don't worry. Same old boy that you hoped you would find.
So I started modeling the tomato, modeling some small leaves for it. First off, I put some quick placeholder textures on it. I continued modeling the cutting board. I created a quick placeholder surrounding. I modeled the kitchen table. I got some reference images up on Google. I decided to go with a big butcher knife just because it looks cool. I sculpted some scratches and dents into the knife to just make it look a bit more realistic. I added some kind of tape to the handle. As soon as the knife hits the tomato will disintegrate into many different small balls. So I created some spheres, gave them rigid body simulation, and keyframed the visibility. While searching for a solution to keyframe every object in a collection, I accidentally found this plugin, which does exactly that. With a press of a button, you can keyframe the visibility of every object in a collection at once. This was really helpful in this project. Then I started modeling the cucumber, just a rounded off cylinder. I decided that the cucumber should fall down from the top as the camera pans up as well. I wanted the cucumber to be cut up pretty quickly, so I had to fine tune the knife movements a lot of times until they fit the timing. Then I started modeling the carrot. I added some greens on top just with some simple paths that I beveled. Then I went on to create the onion. I wanted the onion to have some peeled off skin. Then I went on to model the eggplant. I started keyframing the vegetables so they fly into frame when the camera pans up to actually make it seem like the cucumber was being cut up. I duplicated the cucumber a few times and cut it up in the edit mode. To cut up pieces of the cucumber, again I just keyframed the visibility using the plugin. I also created a metal pot just out of a cylinder and some simple paths. Then I started modeling a shelf for the spice containers, just some simple boxes and array modifier. I also started modeling the spice containers themselves. I used shape keys to extend the length of the kitchen table. As you can see here in this part of the animation, I actually decided to switch styles a little bit. I decided I wanted to go with a cartoony kind of look. I used this tutorial to follow along. Yeah, I finished the first pre-render and put it into After Effects just to take a closer look at the timing and the general look of the animation. Then I started modeling the falling pieces of the other vegetables. Gave them all rigid body simulation. Gave that to the pot as well and put it to passive, so the objects actually collided with the pot. I randomized the positioning, scaling, and rotation of all of the objects, and I keyframed the knife flying by the camera so it looks like it's cutting the vegetables up into the pieces. Then I started animating the spice containers, actually putting spice into the pot, which I did with a particle system. Of course, I also needed a spoon for the pot, which I modeled quickly. Then I created a quick label for the spice containers and slapped it on there. I put some holes in the front so it actually looks like the particles are coming out of the container. Then I started expanding the kitchen area and actually building the whole surrounding. I started modeling an oven, also some drawers. I added a lot of detail because I really wanted the kitchen to look like a cozy place, as well as a fridge. I also modeled a little cupboard for the side. Then I started creating all of these shelves for the walls. I wanted the starting part of the animation to go through a window into the kitchen, so I started cutting out a window.
Where's the door hole?
Goes right there. See, I drew it with a magic marker.
You were supposed to cut it out with the power saw.
I created some extra pants to hang up and a little towel, which I quickly sculpted with the cloth tool. I started adjusting a lot of the textures, adding some noise textures to give some variety on the surfaces, and I started filling the shelves and the kitchen area with a lot of pots and pans. And I just started spreading a lot of small elements around the kitchen area. Then I started creating the actual 3D font for the 3D cook-up show. Again, I tried to create a rigid body simulation, which went like this. So I quickly scrapped the idea again. I instantly put the font onto the plate and added a little plate cover later. I put some placeholder textures on there and then carried on with other stuff. I created another window next to the fridge just so the whole scene gets a bit more depth. I put a sun in the background and also some clouds. Then I sculpted a little bit of landscape and put it in the background as well. I also created a fan for the ceiling as the camera pans up a lot and the plain ceiling just looked a bit boring to me. I also created the plate cover, which I animated to lift off as the camera pans down. I textured and positioned the 3 different spice containers. I wanted the 3D cookup show font to look like food, so I started playing around with some ideas for the different food types. I decided that the 3D part could be some sort of a scrambled egg type look. The cookup part was supposed to look like a grilled type meat, which was pierced up on a stick, laying on some type of flatbread. And the show part is supposed to be some kind of vegetable. I sprayed some particles here and there to give it a bit more detail, and I spread some of the ingredients onto the table, so when the camera pans down, there's more to see than just the empty kitchen table. I went in After Effects and created some line animations, which will help make the whole thing look a bit more cartoony and give it a bit more detail on all of the movements. These animations are imported with the import images as planes function, which you can enable in the Blender Preferences panel. I animated the intro part in After Effects as it was easier. As I had the finished animation done, I started doing the sound design, which I always do in Premiere. I know it's not the most professional way, but for me it works very well. Alright guys, we are done with the animation, finally. This took me way longer than expected, but to be fair, we're going to be using this intro animation for any episode coming forward, so I think it was worth it to put a bit more time and effort into this. This whole toon shader thing was completely new to me, and I'm actually pretty happy that I tried it out in this case, because it really fits the animation well, and it's something that I can keep in mind for upcoming animations to use. Especially the idea with the animated lines that I created in After Effects and then imported as image splines into Blender, really gives this a bit more of a cartoony look, and adds a bit more detail to all of the animations. In general, I think this animation turned out really well and I really like it. Looking forward using this in the upcoming episodes. So how would I rate the difficulty on this animation? I would give this animation 3 out of 5 default cubes, as the main difficulty in this one was the camera movements, as well as the modeling of all of the objects. As you saw before, I actually didn't use any assets at all. I modeled everything myself, and of course that takes a little bit of skill as well as a lot of time. I really like doing that for personal projects though, because first off you can increase your skill set on modeling, and it gives it a bit more of a personal touch. So you know everything that you can see on the screen is completely made by yourself. I think the texturing in this project was actually the easiest part, because this texturing technique is very simple to recreate. In other projects, the texturing part can take really long, so that definitely saved me a lot of time in this one. I probably spent nearly as much time adjusting the timing on all of the objects, especially the camera movements, as I did on the modeling part. So now the important question: how much could you charge for an animation like this? Of course, it always depends on what kind of client base you have, how many clients you have, and how established you are as a 3D creator. But I would say the minimum wage you could charge for a project like this per hour is $50. That would be the low end. What I would personally say is a reasonable price for an experienced 3D creator for this animation would be around $200 an hour. So you could charge $750 up to 3,000 buckaroos for an animation like this. Of course, the animation is pretty playful and cartoony, so you would have a very specific target audience to create this animation for. But if you have a client that can benefit from an animation like this, these are very reasonable prices. As this is my actual first real YouTube video, your feedback is crucial. So please let me know in the comments what kind of parts of the video you enjoyed, where can I improve, any kind of feedback, please leave it down in the comments. If you're interested in seeing more of this series, make sure to subscribe. Feel free to check out my Instagram for some VFX and 3D content, and I'll see you guys soon. Man's on the hustle. Alright.